The general form of the equation of a circle is a little confusing at times, because the general form really doesn't give you a lot of information that you can see and apply to a graph or write down the important parts of a circle. So usually what we put a circle in is called standard form. All right. The standard form of the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. This is the standard form of the equation of a circle. Now, from the standard form of the equation of a circle, if we're either given it in that form, or if we're given some of the good circle information that we need in order to graph a circle, if you have it in this form, this is the best. And in this form, notice there's a minus right here. There's a minus right here. You're adding these two things right here. And the right side of the equation is the radius squared. So from this formula, you can get two main things. Two main things that help you graph or help you to visualize a circle. The first thing you can get is the center of the circle. So the center of the circle is going to be a point, just right in the center of the circle. That is always equal to, from the standard form, that's equal to HK. So if you can get the point HK, that's the center. Notice that there's a minus in front here and here. So what you have to do to find the first coordinate, you take the opposite of whatever is here. So if this was a -2, your first coordinate would be a +2, because there's a minus in the formula. The second coordinate you get from this set of parentheses, and again there's a minus in front of it, so just take the opposite sign. So if this is a +4, then the k coordinate will be a -4. So you take the opposite sign to get those two coordinates. Then the radius of the circle, that's equal to just r. So you take the square root of the number on the right side, and that will give you the radius. So the center is HK, the radius is r. Alright, so let's write the equation of a circle if the center equals 2, 3, and the radius equals 4. Alright, and this is the form that we want to write it in. This right here. So our center, that's HK, and our radius, our R, is 4. So look at this formula here. So you say x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals, what's 4 squared? 16. Okay? So notice that we have a minus in front of the 2 and a minus in front of the 3. That's because the center is a positive 2, positive 3. And then the radius is 4. Whatever number out here, you need to square the radius to get that. Okay? Same directions. Let's let the center equal -3, 0. And let's let the radius equal the square root of 5. Okay. So there's H, there's K, and there's R. So x minus -3 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals square root of 5 squared. Remember, whatever the radius is, you have to square it to write it down like this. Alright, so I have x minus -3. That's going to be x plus 3 squared. Y minus 0. Y minus 0 is y. So that's just y squared equals the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is 5. Okay? So let's look at this answer and see if we didn't have this stuff up here, would we be able to get the answers? This is standard form. This is the best form for the equation of a circle. So the center of this circle is -3 because you take the opposite sign. So -3, 0, because there's no number by the y. And the radius is the square root of 5. So we should be able to go both ways. We should be able to take the center and radius and write it in standard form, or take an equation in standard form and figure out the center and the radius. Let's do that. Let's find the center and radius of the given circle. Alright, let's say that I had x minus 4 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 13. Alright, the center of the circle is going to be the point. Remember, it's HK. So it's going to be +4, -2. Right? We take the opposite sign of the numbers. +4, -2. That's the center of the circle. What's the radius? Square root of 13. Alright. Not too bad. Now, one of the first things that I told you was that the general form of the equation of a circle is not very easy to read, or it doesn't give us all the information that we need. Let me show you why the standard form is so much better, and I'll show you a general form in just a second. But the standard form of the equation of a circle is so much better because we can use that standard form to help us graph the equation of a circle, or to graph a circle. So let's say that we wanted to graph this equation. X plus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 4. The first thing we need to know is what is the center. That's going to be the point -1, +1. And what is the radius? That's going to be equal to the square root of 4, which is 2. So if we want to sketch one of these, or graph one of these, here's what we need to do. First, go to the center of the circle. So our center was at -1, 1. So -1, 1. Right here is the center of my circle. Now, to get some points on the outside of the circle, take the radius, and then from that center point, go, since the radius is 2, go 2 units to the right and put a point. Go back to the center. Go 2 units down and put a point. Go back to the center. Go 2 units to the left and put a point. Go back to the center. Go 2 units up and put a point. Go back to the center. So those 4 points we know will be on the outside of the circle. Then just draw a circle best you can. Alright, mine don't look that great, but that is the circle sketched. Put a point at the center, and then go out over how many units the radius is from the center, up, down, left, right, get those 4 points, and then draw a circle through those 4 points. Okay, so it's really easy to sketch a circle. You just need to make sure that you have the center and the radius correct. I'm also going to show you how to graph that on your homework, because there are a couple homework problems like that. Alright, so now that you know just how good the standard form is, let me show you the general form of the equation of a circle. The general form of the equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared plus some number, I'm just going to say d times x, plus some number times y, so I'm going to say e times y, plus some number equals 0. So, for example, let's say that I had x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y minus 23 equals 0. Now, looking at this equation, what can you tell me? You really can't tell me anything. You might think, hey, I could just move this 23 over and maybe I could tell you the radius. That's not the radius. So the way that we go from the general form to the standard form is by using a method that we used when solving quadratic equations. At the time when we went over that method, I said this probably isn't the best way to do it, but it will work, and that was called completing the square. So here's what we want to do if we have the general form of the equation of a circle. We want to group the x terms together and put a plus blank. So I'm going to say x squared plus 4x plus blank. Then I'm going to write down the y terms and kind of group them together. So plus y squared minus 6y plus blank. Then I'm going to take the constant, the number without a variable, and I'm going to move it across the equal sign, move it to the right side of the equation. So if I move this negative 23 over, it'll be a positive 23. Since I have two blanks on the left side, I'm going to put plus blank on the right side. Alright, so I'm going to complete the square twice. Once with the x terms and once with the y terms. Alright, so first, remember what you put in the blank. You take half of what's in front of x and square it. So half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. If you add 4 to the left side of the equation, you have to add 4 to the right side of the equation. Alright, now we do the same thing for the y's. Half of what's in front of the y is 3. 3 squared is 9. So I'm adding 9 on the left side. I have to add 9 on the right side. Alright, now the left side, now this will factor on it. It's a perfect square. How does it factor? X plus plus. Why is it a plus plus? Because this right here is a plus, so you put a plus plus there. And then what did I have when I took half of what was in front of x? 2. So 2, 2. So that means this term is x plus 2 squared. That's the first term. Plus, now complete the square for this. Parentheses, parentheses, half of what's in front of y and square it. That's how we got that number. So how do I get, first, how do I get the plus or the minus? Look at the sign in front of the middle term. It's a what? Minus. So put minus, minus. Now how do I know what the number is? It's what I had when I took half of this. Half of 6 was 3. So 3, 3. So you can write that as y minus 3 squared. Now equals 23 plus 4 is 27. 27 plus 9 is 36. So now I have the standard form of the equation of a circle. You get that by completing the square with the x's, completing the square with the y's. And remember, what you add to one side of the equation, and yes, you always add, you have to do to the other side. So what is the center of this circle? That's going to be the point -2, +3. And what's the radius of this circle? The square root of 36, which is 6. So if you're just asked to put it in standard form, you can stop right there. But the best thing about standard form is you can figure out the center and the radius really fast. Now let's take a look at another example. Let's work one from the homework. Alright. Complete the square and write the equation of the circle in standard form. Then determine if the center and radius of the circle, or then determine the center and radius of the circle to graph the equation. Alright, so we're going to have to complete the square, write it in standard form, then figure out the center and radius and graph it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out the standard form. So we have the general form. So here's the general form of the equation of the circle. So group up the x terms and put a plus blank. Group up the y terms and put a plus blank. Then the number that we have, the constant, has no variable, move that over. So if it's a plus 25 on the left side, it's going to be a minus 25 on the right side. And we're going to put plus blank, plus blank. Okay. So half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. Half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So I add 25 and add 16. So I need to do the same thing to the right side. Add 25, add 16. So this now factors. Remember, it's a perfect square, so you really only have to write it down once and say squared. So remember, that's x plus, then what did we get when we took half of 10? 5. Plus, that factors, it's a perfect square. Y plus half of 8 was 4 squared. Alright, now, negative 25 plus 25 is 0. Plus 16 is 16. So the center is equal to the point negative 5, negative 4, and the radius is equal to the square root of 16, which is 4. Alright, now let's take a look at the homework and see how we would enter that in. So we want to write, first it says write the equation in standard form. So x plus 5 squared, so x plus 5 squared plus x plus 4 squared, x plus 4 squared equals 16. Okay. The equation in standard form is, my format must be wrong. Let me double check all this real quick. Plus 25. Yeah, I put x twice. Thank you. That needs to be a y. Alright. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, fantastic. Alright. Use the graphing tool to graph the circle. So, pay attention to this. I'm just going to make it a little bigger so we can see it. Alright, over here on the side, you see all these little tools, and down here you see a circle, the circle tool. So click the circle tool and go to the center. We said the center was negative 5, negative 4. So from the middle, go to negative 5 on the x, negative 4 on the y. Alright, so that's negative 5, negative 4. Put a point. That's the center. Now what's the radius? The square root of 16 is 4. So we want to go out 4. So now just drag the cursor. You just move the cursor. And ever how many you move out, it will move out that many. So we just want to go out 4 since our radius is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. that's the circle. So save, that's what it would look like. Check the answer. Alright, so choose the circle tool, put a point, drag it ever how many you need to get the radius. And you got your circle.